Wofford football with Wofford head coach Sean Watson, brought to you by Yokohama. I'm Jim Noble. Well, the season has come to an end, and it was a battle for a while down in Columbia, South Carolina. 79,000 plus witnessing Wofford falling to South Carolina 56-12. But coach, this game was 14-9 late first half. You guys had given them everything they bargained for. It was a really great effort, aggressiveness, toughness. We thought they were all on display from a Wofford perspective on Saturday.
The guys did a really nice job, coming out the first half, and we played a good first half. We gave up, touchdown there right before the half that, really wish we hadn't given up, obviously. But we had played up to that point. We played a really good first half, and then came out the second half and started the third quarter the same way.
Well, when we come back, we'll get to all of it, the South Carolina highlights. We'll also talk about some of the leaders and MVPs for the Terriers this season. And what does this man do now that the season's over? I guarantee you he doesn't go on vacation. At least maybe Thanksgiving, have a little turkey, but that's about it. It's all ahead here on Inside Wofford Football.
It doesn't matter if you're 8 years old or 80 years old, your body is your strongest tool. Spartanburg Regional Sports Medicine Institute is here to push you to the next level. With 2 convenient locations, our doctors can diagnose, treat, and heal at our North Grove Medical Park and Star Center offices to get you back in the gym, in the game, and to the next level. We never quit because you never quit. For more information, call 560-BONE.
And welcome back. So Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium, great atmosphere, the number 19 team in the nation awaiting you in the South Carolina Gamecocks. I walked around on the field before the game during warm-ups and saw your guys, and yes, were they looking around? Were they soaking in the big-time atmosphere? Sure, but there was also a business-like vibe around the team. How did you prepare the guys during the week for what they were going to face on Saturday?
Basically, I've spent a lot of my career being in South Carolina, and we've had to play, we've played teams, that have come in, either G5 teams or FCS teams, and, they were scary games, and especially ones that were locked and loaded. So what we try to do is, simply get the guys ready by, Gary Barnett taught me a long time, getting ready for the environment. So we every team meeting started off with their pregame. And then we played during practice, we played all the music and all the things, the band, the crowd noise, all throughout practice. And the kids were ready for, they were ready for it.
Yeah, what's that song, Sandstorm? I think it's already an earworm in me for a while because they play it all game long. We certainly heard it a few times on Saturday. But with all that aside, on the first Wofford possession, the Terriers served notice that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Tight end moves to the right side of the formation. It's going to be a quick shot and a completion to Watkins. He's got a first down, 40, 50, 40. Kyle Watkins, 30, 20, inside the 10 and knocked out of bounds on the 10-yard line. Wofford goes deep, winds up deep on the first play.
Wasn't exactly how I thought it should happen, but it worked extremely well. What was that,
65-yard hookup. Oh, man.
Great
Took a
blocking.
short passes.
Yeah, great blocking by the other 2 wideouts.
A very simple, safe pass to Kyle Watkins. You want to talk yards after the catch. He showed his talent, he showed his speed, and really set South Carolina back on their heels defensively.
Yeah, it was a good message to start off with. It was a well-designed first play, one that was an unbalanced formation. We got their unbalanced check. When they did that, we were able to take advantage of the perimeter. And then, Kyle obviously did the work, but to get the play started, Dylan Jette and Isaiah Scott were, executed the blocking pattern for him. So that was a run pass option. So Amari was involved in making the decision. So well executed and a great job by all the guys.
A couple things about Kyle Watkins, the senior. He sets an all-time Terrier record with 814 yards in a season, eclipsing the mark that Landon Parker set under your tutelage just 2 years ago. How has he really evolved this season after he was really kind of bugged by injuries through the beginning part of his Wofford career?
Yeah, he he's always been one of the kids that I've gravitated to because he doesn't say anything. He just works every day, and he's got a unique skill set. His functional speed and his feel for space and getting open, and he's a technician. And I tell you what he does. He's an effort player every down. So with that kind of formula, great character. You get this kind of production. I wish we would have, he got hurt in the, Citadel game and really missed, almost a half a football, because he gotten hurt and, and we got him through the injury. Great job by Will Crispin, our training staff, so he could play in this one because he's so big to our offense and big to Amari.
Absolutely. So it's 3-0 after the Terriers get a field goal out of that drive. South Carolina gets the ball back. Then it's time for the Terrier defense to shine.
He's going to drop back to pass. Plenty of time to throw. Throws deep down the left sideline, and it's intercepted. Did he stay in bounds?
He did.
All right, Wofford's got it, and it's Amir Anor, his third interception of the year, and Wofford takes it away.
He baited him into that throw. Watching the replay here on the video board, and Anor just kind of played off a little bit, came in, got the 1 foot down.
Amir Anor, third interception of the season, fifth of his Wofford career, another senior who really stepped up in that big game atmosphere.
Yeah, we talked to the entire team about wanting to, get out and throw the first punch. So offensively, we were able to do that, and then defensively, this was another one. Amir has played well for us his entire career. A great job by him coming up with the pick.
Couldn't get any points out of that turnover. And then, of course, the game kind of settled in. That was awful early. And South Carolina started to get their footing offensively. I got to ask you a bit about their quarterback, Lenora Sellers, because he's a matchup nightmare for SEC teams, much less an FCS team. He's 6'4", 240. I think he was 23 for 27 on the day and can run the ball as well. I know they've got a lot of talent across the board, but I was impressed by that young man and his poise in terms of not panicking and leading his team back.
No, they do a great job with him. I told Shane after the game, what a great job I thought their offensive staff was doing with him because they're using his skill set. He's young, but he's really talented. He's a great runner at his size. He's a handful, and he's got skills to go along with it as a runner, and he can throw it. Yeah. And they did a real nice job. You mentioned his stats. I mean, he did a really nice job of, taking, a lot of screen passes or short throws, and they had some screens with a pass option on it. So, really put him in a position, and he did a nice job of managing it.
Yeah, they hit, I think, maybe one play that you'd say a big chunk play. For the rest of the time, our back end, our secondary, I thought, played very, very well. So it's 14-3. Wofford's starting to get aggressive in a really good way. I mean, you're rolling the dice. A fake punt, and we'll talk about John Schaefer and his role this year. I think he might have the highest quarterback rating in the nation with all the fake punt passes he's completed. You get a first down out of that. You run a fake field goal. Bryce Corriston hits Carlos Anaya. You're thinking touchdown, and you get a false start penalty on that. But it proved how aggressive you guys were going to be on the day.
Yeah, we went into it, wanting to be aggressive. We've been aggressive in that facet, trying to get back a possession or steal a possession. And, the plays were both executed well. Carlos had the flinch penalty, and it's wide open, and Bryce threw a great ball. And that was going to be a, momentum swinger there, too. Now, we got to execute the play. Yeah. So
I think we still did feel some momentum. I was, listening to South Carolina people grumbling and rumbling, but they were more about, hey, Wofford's playing really well. And then late in the first half, you get a drive going, the best drive of the game offensively. It results in Amari Odom and Dylan DeJetti hooking up.
The backfield. Odom in the shotgun. He's back to pass. Amari's going to throw it in the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown. Or is it? Dylan DeJetti. Touchdown, Terriers. Wofford hits pay dirt here late in the first half.
DeJetti with a nice route just came right to the goal line, stopped and went down on his knees, and Odom delivered the ball right to him.
So DeJetti scores, makes it 14-9. Try to go for two at that point, don't get it, so it's 14-9. But Coach, it's a one-score game at that point. That game is going across the lower third ticker on ESPN, raising a lot of eyebrows. A minute 20 left, and as you alluded to earlier, maybe the biggest drive of the game for South Carolina as they roll down the field. We got a big sack from Jalen Marshall that we thought would stall them, and they're good, and they converted at the end.
No, they did. They did a nice job of keeping that drive alive, as you mentioned, and then they completed the drive with, finishing with a touchdown, and that was, that was a little bit of a dagger there because we had played so well. And, but I'll tell you this, at halftime, the locker room was buzzing, and we knew we had, given up some opportunities. We could have been off the field defensively. So, going the second half is just, let's get back on task.
Yeah, you could feel that. They get the kind of the 2-for-1. They get the score right before halftime. They had deferred the kickoff, so they get the first drive. And then they really kind of got rolling. They looked like the number 19 team in the nation. And I think our guys are just, you're worn down playing against guys who are, you're giving away 20, 30, 40 pounds per position. They're a good football team. Take nothing away from Shane Bieber in South Carolina. And their approach, I thought, in the third quarter showed how much respect they had for you, and they really got down to brass tacks.
Yeah, they like you mentioned, it becomes a game of, they wear you down because their style of play on offense. They're going to run the football, run the big back, run the big quarterback, and then they did a nice job of, staying on the field with their, third down plays with him, and they hit some explosives too.
Absolutely. So South Carolina, as you might expect, kind of took over in the second half. Wofford was doing some really good things, though, when they had the ball offensively. We've already mentioned Kyle Watkins and his single-season record. Ryan Ingram also had a tough day. It's hard to run the ball against that defensive line, one of the best in the nation. But Ryan Ingram went over the 2,000-yard mark for career yards here at Wofford. And another fifth-year guy who came back and kind of exemplifies what you're asking for out of this team.
Yeah, no doubt. Ryan's been, he's been a go-to for me for the last, really 3 years I've been around here. We've developed a friendship, I think he's really a unique guy. He always gives us his best, and for him to get over 2,000, we all wanted him to have it because that's a big landmark for him.
So Wofford winds up 5-7 on the season after the 56-14 loss. That 5 wins, that's the biggest win total here since 2019 in 5 seasons. I know that every coach goes back at every game and points to that game or that play. We left something on the table there. Overall, do you think the record reflects the team after the things that you went through with injuries to your starting quarterback and losing some key guys like Brandon Mena and Nick Morgan on the other side of the ball? How do you feel about the whole ball of wax?
Well, it's a typical FCS season. I think in FCS football, because of your roster, your scholarship limits, your roster limits, and then we play in a great league. I mean, before the game, Shane's asked me, he goes, "Who's going to get in the playoffs out of the SoCon?" And it's because we beat each other up. Yep. We have really good football, and it doesn't matter. You better show up every week. And when we look back on the season, we made progress, we moved forward, but none of us are happy. I mean, I'm appreciative and always will be grateful for what the seniors gave us. I mean, they came back to enable us to stabilize this. We needed those fifth-year kids back. We needed them because we needed to, keep a foundation on so we could develop and continue to recruit. And I'll be forever grateful to those guys because one day they'll look back and we're going to get this thing flipped all the way, and they'll have been a big part of it. And this year will have been. There was disappointment, yeah, there was, and but when you look back on it too, no one on the outside really knows what you got to get through. We've been through so many, you've been through injuries. You've been, one time we had 2 tailbacks on the roster we could play with, and the third guy was going to have to be Bryce Corsten, who was backup quarterback. Yeah, it's just, it's just the things you got to go through, and really appreciate the staff and how hard they've worked, and the kids and how hard they worked.
Speaking of looking forward, that's what we're going to do next. Off-season program, recruiting, retention, and scheduling. We'll talk about that next here on Inside Wofford Football, brought to you by Yokohama.
Ingalls only sells USDA choice and prime cuts of meat. maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
And welcome back to Inside Wofford Football with head coach Sean Watson. I'm Jim Noble. All right, so the season has come to an end, but it's a 12-month out of the year season in college football. And you and your staff, I hopefully you get a chance to recharge some batteries over the weekend, Thanksgiving and things like that. But you guys usually hit the ground running pretty fast. So what's the priority once we get into late November, December, January? First of all, for the coaching staff, what's your focus?
Well, we closed up the game really yesterday, and today, Monday, we're working hard on recruiting. In today's world, you've got all kinds of windows now, and we're managing our roster. We're managing moving our roster forward, which is recruiting. What that looks like, it's going to be nonstop from now until, really, honestly, we won't take a break until the last signing day there in the middle of that first Wednesday in February. That'll be the first time we'll get a Christmas and we'll get a Thanksgiving, but there's not much left after that. I mean, we're gonna be grinding, working, because we got to continue to move us forward.
All-season program for the players, your training staff, your strength staff especially. These guys really have to heal up after a season of college football, but then you start building that strength back up. What does your off-season program, in a nutshell, kind of look like?
Well, next week, when they roll back, we really have 1 week of school. We'll meet with them, position meetings, and then we'll have head coach meetings, exit interview our seniors, and then from that point on, the guys next week will actually be in an optional lifting period because NCAA rules, and then we go into finals. And then, they'll be sent home with their winter workout program, and then when they roll back in January, our January semester is going to be that's the heart and soul of our off-season program. So they'll be at the strength staff, really 5 days of the 5 days a week, working with those guys, and then we'll roll into spring practice, etc. So it's nonstop.
And the final part of that is usually taking a look ahead to the schedule. The schedule's not set in stone, but we do know a couple of things. We talked about strength of schedule. You talk about the SoCon kind of eating itself sometimes with all the good teams knocking each other off. It's very SEC-like sometimes. Right. But we have to play everybody in our conference every year, and that's something a lot of FCS conferences don't have to. And then you go out of conference, and just take a look at us in week 2 beating Richmond. Richmond's won 10 straight games since then. They won the CAA, and that shows you, I think, your philosophy on scheduling. Schedule good teams. A tough game against William & Mary. Next year we'll face Richmond again. I know we've got our bye game at Virginia Tech. I think we've got Norfolk State coming on the schedule. Your philosophy in scheduling, it's not let's get 3 or 4 cupcakes out there. It's let's test ourselves preseason.
No, I think you have to. I want to use that preseason before the SoCon to get us ready for the SoCon because it's going to be a meat grinder. So we want to play the best. I love playing the best regionally, and that's the Richmonds, the William & Marys, and then it's playing what is a big out of either really we play major ACC or a Southeastern Conference school. I have no problems with that because our kids love the environment. I think it's a good tool to recruit from, and it helps us with our budget. It's all good stuff.
All right. In closing, just want to say thank you to you, your staff. These guys are always accessible when we need them. I love to pick the brains of some of your guys, even though I ask some dumb questions from time to time. But thank you for everything you've done in this turnaround of Wofford football. You guys are as dedicated to the staff as I've ever seen here, and to your players, their families, your coaches, their families. I know I speak on behalf of Terrier Nation when I say thanks for everything, and onward and upward, as we say.
Okay, thank you guys.
You got it. And of course, special thanks to our video folks for helping put this all together. For Sean Watson, I'm Jim Noble, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next year on Inside Wofford Football.